welcome back to my travel vlogs. Today, my friends and I are gonna go shopping, hopefully get some real fish and chips, and then we're actually going to the Globe Theater to see a performance of Shakespeare's Richard III. My friends and I actually were able to go shopping in the area where we intended to go shopping yesterday. Honestly, I'm just surprised at the variety of things we found, like flowers and bamboo. We even found some fancy cheeses, and a little while later we found this candle store that sold hundreds of different types of candles, but with like traditional wax candles alone, it was amazing all the different colors and variety that they had. That's this store. It was really surprising and just so beautiful. And while the shops were beautiful, the surrounding area was just really nice too. It was an older area, so there was a lot of really nice old buildings kind of mixed alongside the newer modern buildings. And yes, we did finally get some traditional fish and chips from a place where they made the fish and chips in front of you and then put salt and vinegar on it to your liking. It was great to grab alongside some coffee before heading off to the Globe Theater to watch Richard III. Going back to the Globe. Actually watching a play at the Globe was an amazing experience just because of how it's built. We were actually sitting in the Lord and Lady seat, which was one of the box seats, not where you stand on the ground, and it was where the rich people sat. Now if you notice, my ticket says restricted view, and they weren't kidding about that. There was a giant pole blocking pretty much everything significant. I actually didn't even see Richard III die because Richard's famous death scene happened quite behind that pole. That was kind of a bummer, but it was, that pole was definitely needed there so that the entire structure doesn't collapse. And I am happy that I wasn't standing for 3 hours like all the groundlings, although I was actually really surprised at how much fun the groundlings had because the audience was literally parts of the play at times. Different characters such as Buckingham actually came down into the audience and interacted with them. And at one point when Richard was being presented, they were treated as the townspeople and were asked to shout, "Long live the king," and kneel, and most of them did. Even though the pole blocking my view was kind of annoying, there was a giant beam for me to lean against when I got tired. So this is the intermission of Richard III. This is the Globe Theater behind me. So although I was not allowed to take pictures while the actors were on stage, at halftime I was allowed to take all the pictures I wanted of the set. Now this set was extremely modern. The play was a modern staging, so most of the characters were in modern clothing, like Buckingham always had a professional looking suit on. Whenever the characters were going off to war, they were wearing camo, but every once in a while you would see someone in kind of an older Shakespearean dress, like Lady Anne. I didn't really understand why sometimes it was more Shakespearean, but most of the time it was modern. But, I'm not in charge of the costumes. Someone understood it. That person's not me. I will say that this play was kind of interesting and it was slightly controversial. I wanted to see it because I had heard of some of the controversy that had started back in January. So Richard III is thought of as a famous disabled character. Now, what we know about the real Richard III is that he probably had scoliosis, and it was not significant because he actually fought in battle. He was the last English king to die in battle. But Shakespeare made that a large part of his play, and because of that, it's common nowadays to cast a disabled actor as Richard, and when that doesn't happen, there's usually backlash, and that did not happen in this case, and over 200 actors signed a letter to the Globe Theater kind of protesting it. However, this staging really wasn't touching on Richard's disability at all. In fact, the lines that talk about his disability were cut out, which is common. That happens a lot, especially when it's a modern staging that's making a different social commentary. Now, I do want to take a second to talk about some additional controversies surrounding the particular staging of Richard III that I saw. Now, walking into this, we knew that Richard was being played by a female, and we honestly didn't really know what was going on. At first, we were told that everyone in the play was cross-cast, that Richard was now a woman, and all the guys, like say Queen Anne, Richard's wife, was a man, and that was just done for artistic reasons. Then we were told that Richard III was being played by a woman as a woman, but turns out what was actually going on was the entire cast was female, playing both male and female characters, and they did that to kind of push back against what went on in Shakespeare's day. Now, if you are unfamiliar, in Shakespeare's day, women were not allowed to be on the stage, so all female roles were played by men. And essentially, the Globe said that was terrible, we're pushing back against this because we want every role to be available to every actor. Which I feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot at some point, because if you're having an all-female cast, then not every role is available to every actor. They did have one male actor in the cast who I believe identified as non-binary, and he played the role of Richmond, which was really weird because Richard III often berates Richmond and says that he is effeminate. So it kind of made the entire play super strange. Richard III was just a weird play to do that to, since Richard III always says, I don't want to be effeminate, my enemies are effeminate, and there's a lot of lines like, oh, don't be a coward, that's womanish. It just made the entire thing really weird, and unfortunately having women play male characters meant that they were cross-dressing, and as a Christian, I cannot condone that. I was actually kind of disturbed, and I don't think we would have went to see the play had we totally known what was going on. However, I would like to say that while I did not agree with this, actress Michelle Terry, who played Richard III, did a phenomenal job. She's recently received a lot of hate over the fact that she's non-disabled and playing this iconic disabled character, and I think that's sad because she did a good job. Overall, I was really happy to see something staged at the Globe Theatre, even if the play wasn't the best thing ever.